You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. I've got a hot show for you today. Look, it's a shortened week because of Thanksgiving, but our friend Scott Bauer is here today to break it all down. But Scott, we've had quite a last couple of weeks sell-off. What we've been calling for, right?
No doubt about it. And there's just a lot of concern. And what's really interesting to me is the concern seemed to be, as much as everybody was worried about AI and NVIDIA and all that, sure seems to me like it was more about the Fed and what they're going to do with rates. Because just look at the turn of events on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not just from NVIDIA, but from the CME Fed Watch tool and the expectation, the probability of what the Fed was going to do. We were a week and a half ago, 90+% probability of a cut in December. That went down into the 30% by Thursday. And then just from some of the Fed speak on Friday, and then even this morning, now it's back up to over 80%.
Yeah, but Scott, I've been telling people lately, ignore that chart, right? Because quite frankly, now the retail is getting into that chart. They're investing in some of that, and they don't really know what's going on. It's like this, like betting on whether I don't even know what I'm going to have for breakfast. How the hell am I going to tell you what the Fed's thinking, right? We know the Fed's they're not even in cahoots now anymore, right?
Right. Well, here's the problem with that, Steve, is you and I understand that, and many other people, that have been around this world understand that, but the market is trading off of it.
Right.
And what the market is trading off of is that they want lower rates. Problem with that is, why are we getting lower rates? We're not getting lower rates because inflation is ticking down, because it's
right.
not. We're maybe getting lower rates because the expectation that things are not so great, right?
Exactly.
So we've talked about this before.
Yes.
You gotta really, you gotta think about what you're wishing for, right? We're not getting lower rates for the right reason. If they wind up lowering rates,
right? Yeah, and you and I have said this a million times that there are two ways. In the past, it's good news is good news, or good news is bad news, right? And now it's becoming good news for some people is actually bad news. It's telling you that if you want lower rates, the reason being is because the economy is not that good. That's why you normally lower rates. It's not to pump the markets up. And now we're seeing that. And I constantly been harking lately to the book 1929. A lot of those things are happening again. Like, we want lower rates to keep the market going, but yet housing market's been an issue. I was in a new Target over the weekend near my home. It's the biggest now in the country. And
your home is, of course.
Yes,
we know. We all know that.
Yeah. Well, no, we're Tampa. We got the Target nearby.
No, I know. I was saying your home is the biggest. I know.
No, it's definitely not. I'm like, I'm got a 5-bedroom. But what's interesting is people were going to it and flocking to it. But the thing they were selling the most of was Starbucks. The thing that I saw in the store was not a lot of products on the shelf. It was very limited product. I feel like I was in a Russian Target. I mean, it was crazy.
I actually, honestly, I used to go to Target quite often. I haven't been in one for a very long time, other than to get a Starbucks. So I don't know. I think a telltale sign of really what is happening in the economy right now was the divergence of what we saw in the earnings reports between Target and Walmart.
Yeah.
Target, what the bed, but Walmart, gave as strong of an outlook as possible. And I think that just goes to show that even people, maybe that were not mid-level, but shopping Target, maybe they're even dropping. When I say dropping down a notch, that's not a bad thing. But I think when you look at it, price-wise and stuff, Walmart thinks it's going to be fantastic. And Target didn't. And that to me is a big concern coming into Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Yeah, I mean, when you and I would go in there, it was Target, right? It was a cool place to go, and now it's not as cool. I mean, I for me and Howard, I talk about it all the time. For those of you out there who don't know, Howard will be back tomorrow. Everything's good. He got to go watch his New England Patriots play. Screw him, but whatever. It's that. I think the Sam's Club situation. I think it's the Costco situation where people are spending less. They're buying in bulk and preparing for whatever doomsday is coming for a lot of people.
I was at Costco again yesterday. I'm a big fan of Costco. And I got there right when they opened in the morning. And it was like a going out of business sale. Just people couldn't load up enough. And people are just looking to save wherever they can, Steve. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But again, it all filters back to if that's the reason that the Fed sees that they need to lower rates, that's a problem.
Yeah. And I was in Best Buy as well. Catherine wanted to look at Apple laptops because she wants a new MacBook and because she's having problems moving some files around. And we go to Best Buy, and guess what I saw was bigger than the Apple stand? It was Microsoft. Really? Microsoft has really expanded their footprint into Best Buy. And I saw things like DJI, and I saw things like Amazon expanding their Kindle systems and Nest and things of that nature. And TVs got bigger. Samsung TV now has a new one. It's 100-inch. That was
TVs got bigger and cheaper.
Bigger and cheaper. With the product and problem of parts going into it, like rare earths. So what are we seeing? Is this just a temporary blip, as the president's saying, or is there a bigger underlying issue going on right now?
I don't know. Is there really even a blip? I kind of question that a little bit, because I would say 99% of us, maybe 99.9% of us, when I say us, I'm talking about everybody that we know, okay, don't really understand what these rare earth things do, where they come from, what they're used for, blah, blah, blah. And so is it something that has just been politicized, or is it something real? I don't know. I really don't know. But the fact that things like electronics are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper tells me, at least for the near term, maybe that's not as big of an issue as it's made out to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think you just gave me an idea. I'm going to do a whole rare earths post because that's one of my specialties for many, many years is molybdenum and lithium and things that people don't really understand how they actually work. And so it's a great idea. All right, Q's looking pretty good this morning, up about 1% here in the futures. Platinum, aluminum, gold, all up a little bit. Silver down just slightly here, and copper. I made one this morning.
How about Google? How about Alphabet?
Hey, Google. We've been talking about Google for a long time here about how
almost 5% right now.
On top of the last.
Yeah, exactly.
But do you think that the Warren Buffett effect is still in place?
Well, it certainly got an initial pop from that, and it has sustained. So, boy, I mean, you look at
this short covering, or is this actual accumulation, or is this just flat out short covering?
I don't know if it's short covering. I'm not. Okay. I don't know if it's short covering. I mean, there's so much opportunity out there in a stock like this, Nvidia, Microsoft, any of these stocks where if you had a short, where you can cover it pretty quickly without seeing a move like this. I think it's accumulation. I really do. I really, really do. But this kind of move, again, like we're seeing this morning, up 5% pre-markets, trading 314 right now. I mean, this is just this is huge. And I'm looking at the option flow from Friday, Steve. And if you look at this week's out of the money calls that traded on Friday, okay, the 300s traded 28,000, the 305s traded 25,000, the 310s traded 42,000. Those 310s are now going to be $4 in the money Those closed on Friday at $2.30. I mean, I don't know. We always like to look back and be, the pundits and contrarians who knew what, right? I don't know. There was
that is
definitely
one option. That's one option. 2.5 million. One option in one spot in one time zone. 2.5 million. That's a lot.
It's a lot. I think this is accumulation, or maybe just to throw something out there, maybe that was kind of the short covering. That maybe people who were short were just buying these calls. I don't know. But
hedging.
This is this is a massive move. This is a massive
in the daily chart, the MACD is definitely showing us possibly another run to the upside again.
I know, and I was going to say, I usually like to be a contrarian and kind of, short these moves higher or buy into some of these moves lower when something, really, really big happens like this. But like you just said, in Google, I think the momentum keeps going here.
And we're roughly about 6% from a $4 trillion company.
I mean, yeah, nuts. So,
and I don't even use Google anymore. I use Gmail. I do that, but I don't use Google search anymore. I don't use Gemini anymore.
It's got to be everything else that in the AI space, maybe even things that we don't know about yet.
Yeah. If you look at it from a perspective, it's just the fan here. Oh my goodness gracious. Wow. Look at that. Yeah. This thing could go to 314, 315, push all the way up there. Oh my God, 315 later today. That's why I think the options are pushing. Wow. Unbelievable.
This is pretty huge. This is really, really huge. And it's interesting because I'm looking at the open interest and volume again here on the call side, and the huge open interest is this week. Very short term, holiday shortened trade.
Yep.
That's where the massive open interest is. So we'll have to see if it'll be interesting later in the week to see if these positions get rolled out or closed out. If that gives us any kind of insight into what may happen with Google here. But
let's talk about that shortened week. Obviously, no trading on Thanksgiving Day, so go watch your Thanksgiving Day parade, Macy's. I always do every year. What happens on Friday? Do people trade on Friday?
So when I was trading down on the floor, which wasn't too long ago, that used to be one of my absolute favorite days to be on the floor trading because many people took off. The volumes were light, but the option volumes stayed pretty robust. So there was always big opportunity for a market maker on Thanksgiving Friday, with the markets only being open half a day. I think that it's going to be a busy day. I really do. There's too much in the hopper right now for even a day off from trading, which we get on Thursday. There's just way too much. If you look at Wednesday's economic calendar, it is so long. And I'm not saying that we're getting the biggest reports, but there are 10, 15 different economic data points that we're going to get on Wednesday that, people are going to digest them over the holiday. And I think Friday is going to be a big day because then the Fed goes into blackout.
Yeah.
Right. The following week, people are going to start positioning. They can't hear John Williams speak anymore or whoever it is. And I think it's going to be a really big trading day. I really do.
Yeah, and we had Steve Flanagan on here, Mr. Currency Forex for JP Morgan for 40 years, had the desk. And his big statement has been his new thought process around the world has been quantum convergence. We talked about Google just a few seconds ago. I'm going to talk about Tesla here in a second. I think it's important to talk about Tesla. Talk to me a little bit about what it is that you're seeing in the traders. Is there still this fun thing about AI? Is there still excitement around it, or is that waning? Is electricity issues going on? The whole thing seems to be waning a bit. Are you seeing that in the trading?
I'm seeing it right now, but I guarantee you that if it becomes hot again, whether it's next week or in a month or 3 months, you will see the FOMO, you will see the euphoria pile into the space again. There's no question, because everyone's going to say, oh, okay, it was just a little bit of a pullback. So I would expect many of those stocks that were, just the darlings just a few weeks ago that have just fallen out of favor. If that starts to become, a hot topic again, I think we'll see people piling right back in.
Yeah. And I mean, my goodness, you guys see it over there at Prosper Trading. You see it from the professional traders all day long. What is it, the one thing that we're missing, Scott, in all of this? There's so much here that I feel like we're missing in the markets that maybe as traders like ourselves that have been doing this for a long time. What is it that we're missing that the younger traders are seeing with these zero DTEs and everything else going on? Talk to me. What are we as the old boys missing here?
Maybe we're missing some of that instant gratification trade, just because that's not the way that we were born and raised and learned this business, right? And I really have no interest in it. So I self-admittedly, maybe I miss some of the opportunity there.
Okay.
But it's not a game that I want to get caught up in, because I don't know that game. I know how to trade volatility. I know how to read option order flow in terms of arbitrage.
Right.
I understand charting. I don't necessarily understand, other than from what all the definitions of theta and delta and gamma are. I don't understand the zero DTE game. Sure, I can talk to it and say, hey, if you do this here, here's your risk.
Right. Yeah. The
blah,
mechanics.
blah, blah.
The mechanics we understand, but I don't understand the dopamine side of this. Right?
That's the instant gratification of, I think, the world of day trading, the world of Robinhood, the world of Gen Z. I guess it is. I don't know. But
is it fleeting moment? Is this for the moment in time where we do this and then we get passes down the road because people are losing their behinds, or is it going to stay?
I don't think so, Steve, because institutions love these zero DTE.
Yeah, because they're making money, I guess. I mean,
exactly. They're taking the other side of these.
Right.
Trades. They're able to position however they want, with positions going out a week, a month, whatever it is, and use these shorter term options, whether they're zeros or weekly, whatever it is, as a hedge against it. So I don't think they're going away anytime soon. I mean, I think they just become more and more popular. And I also think that in addition to SPX, we're going to see, I have no doubt in my mind, within the next probably 3 to 6, maybe 6 months, we are going to see zero DTEs in all of the big players out there.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that, Scott. All right, let's get to it. I got Tesla up here. I've got my diamonds ready to go. Tesla, are we looking for a breakout here to the upside, or is this one where we just think Elon Musk can't keep his mouth shut and SpaceX again, or what are we doing here? I'm long, just for everybody out there that want to know. I'm actually long here, but
this has been such a great range trade, and I know it broke down below 400, end of last week, and it's trading 400 right now. But you look at these charts here, and if you look at basically from the lab, when is this, from middle of September?
Yeah, we can go back
2.5 months, right?
Yeah.
That if you played 4 to 450 and got a little bit on the outer edges there for a little while here, that is the tightest range. And to think about it, a $50 range on a $400 stock being tight, okay, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that range has been so unbelievable. And I don't know, you go back in Tesla here and look for a period of time that you have seen those candles so tight together. I think we're due for a breakout one way or the other. I can't say it's up or down. I think we're going to break out of this consolidation here. And from an options perspective, vol is still, I'd say it's on the little bit more expensive side in Tesla. So anybody that says, okay, we're looking for a break either way, I'm not suggesting buying a straddle or a strangle, because I think it's pretty expensive here. But I don't know how much longer it can remain in this EKG range, I call it, that it's been in for the last several months.
All right, so give me a stock that you do like, Scott.
Wow, a stock I do like. Well, I liked Ross Stores going into the earnings, and we got a huge move on Friday. Now that move is over with. I got to focus back in here, and if I had to pick something through the end of the year, I'm not saying this week, next week, through the end of the year, honestly, I would look to either some of the financials like a JP or a Goldman Sachs, or I would look back to NVIDIA. I think NVIDIA is going to make another run at 200 and be there by the end of the year.
Ooh, okay. I like that call. I can't disagree with it. I think the technicals alone are good. And it's interesting, and I said this last week, that NVIDIA's Jensen Huang personally saved the market. And Jensen himself said, look,
he did say that.
He said, I saved the market. He saved the market. I mean, the market sell-off slowed down and the AI story came back a bit. What does he need to say now in order to make people happy that the world's okay?
I don't know how much more he could say. I mean, what he said last week after the report, given the guidance, what else can he say here? I don't know. Maybe we let it play out. Maybe he says something that they don't necessarily need China, for the company's sake. I think he just should keep his mouth shut right now. And that's I'm not saying that negatively at all.
Right. No, I think you're right.
I just don't know what else he can add to the narrative of how good that report and that guidance was.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he just said what he needed to say, and that's good enough. So I agree with that. All right, you're looking at sorry, my roll scroller there. You're saying 200, so 179.40 to 200. That's a nice little run here. You're looking to catch this bid all the way up.
That's 10-12% here. And let's see.
If I push to the end of the year, which would be here, look at that. I think you're right, Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, there's 200. We look at those big round numbers, Steve, and say, oh, it's just psychological, right? But technically, here 200 is a pretty big spot. There's that really, really big candle on the upside there, back from October 28th, and we kind of flatline there. There's going to be a lot of push and pull there, and I would not want to be short.
All right, Scott Bauer is bullish on NVIDIA to 200 by end of year. That's it. He's called it out.
That's it.
All right, get to it. I have made quite a nice call on silver here on the last couple of years, buying it at around 19. It's at 50 now. I talked about silver. I made a post this morning. You like silver here too as well, or gold and silver?
I like them all on dips. We are, for full disclosure, we are long in GLD.
Okay.
I don't have a position SLV or silver, but it is still a buy the dip marketplace, if you will. So that's until that trend breaks, sticking with it.
Yeah, and for those of you who know, I play gold, either buying physical or I play Royal Gold, RGLD. And the reason being is it has 1.21 million, and if you're long, this is a $15 billion market cap. So they're the big guys out there that buy that mine the stuff. I like it. All right, I just was, like I said, over the weekend, looking at a few companies, and I got 1,000 things in the mail saying, well, please come back to Royal Caribbean. I don't have time as I'm running a business, but RCL, the cruise ships are popular again.
Well, that's
Scott.
because of you.
Well, I'm not going, so it's I don't know. I feel like people are trying to come back again. We saw a nice pop in RCL over the last few days. In CLH, I just saw the big ship. I was out boating yesterday, and I saw the new big ship. And my wife, like I said earlier, wanted new Apple products. I have all Apple products now. Scott, Apple seems to be hot again.
I mean, it's hard to get out of the ecosystem, right? And it looks like, from what you were saying, at least from your comments about Best Buy, really tough for a Microsoft or whomever else to just build that ecosystem. I mean, if you're entrenched with Apple products, just think about the inconvenience it would be to switch to anything else. They almost make it to the point where whether you like it or not, once you're in, you can't get out. Kind of the Hotel California.
All right, I'm going to post this here. Goldman Sachs now says they see downside risk for the economy next year. They said that economists now feel that the Fed to cut rates in December, followed by a few more cuts in 2025, bringing rates down to just about 3%, could slow more than expected, requiring additional cuts. The things we just talked about, right?
Yeah, and cutting for the wrong reason, right? Cutting because things are slowing down.
Right. So I'm going to post this. There you go. You see it now.
There you go.
And then they also say the reason being is that, Scott, they said that it's because of job cuts, rising layoffs. And yet, Scott, 4 of the members of the board said, Federal Reserve said that they don't see any problems. Everything's okay. That they're trying to use their quote data from the Fed. But
yeah, they don't have any.
What data?
The data they have is the same data we have if we were to go walk down the street and talk to someone. And I don't know what they're looking at. I don't know what they're looking at, and what they get now is so old in terms of not being on the pulse of the marketplace today, November 24th, as opposed to where we were in August or September. They're in a tough position. I'm not saying this to mock them or.
Okay, just came out, and Tesla is popping here a little bit. And
yeah, it's up $12. There you go.
Yeah, you're seeing here Tesla now says is a must-own as autonomy nears a tipping point. That's Melius now saying that. Melius Research now calls them a wow. That's interesting to me. Am I catching this puppy on the right side of this now?
You might be. I mean, there's a pretty clear path here up to about 429 or 430 area.
All right, that's good.
I got to jump. We got the markets opening in a few seconds.
Yep.
I appreciate it, Steve. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Same to you, Scott, and we'll see you next time. Everybody, Scott Bauer at Prosper Trading. Folks, get out there. Prosper Trading. I'm going to put it up here so you guys can click on the button there. And
thank you, sir.
Yeah, please go hit Scott up. And Scott, quickly before you leave, my friend, I will be in Las Vegas, right?
Can't wait. That's only a couple weeks away. Can't wait.
Yeah.
There is the opening bell.
See you guys. See you, Scott.
Bye.
And for those of you who don't know, there's Scott Bauer's website there, prospertrading.com. All right, we're watching Tesla. I'm going to keep my eye here on Tesla as I am long on Tesla here, and I'm talking about it here. 402.39. Yep, 403 now. So I'm pretty happy camper this morning here. 1169 to the upside. So look at that. 403.58. We are still being bullish. I'll keep Bitcoin up too as well. It's also trying over the weekend. It got to about 88,500. So I'm liking that too as well. I am still a bit long on Disney. Not quite there. And as you know, I am long on Fly. Nothing here that I see. Just going to stay long term on that one too. But 404.79 now. Look at that. 405 now on Tesla. So let's go. I'm liking this. 406 now on Tesla. Holy moly. Okay, let's go. Those of you paying attention at home, man, those of you, I was pretty long on Tesla on Friday, so loving this. Oh, my. Talk to me out there if there's a stock you want to look at, but right now, just stay freaking long on. Look at that, 407.5 now. We are booming on Tesla right now. Woo! I'm going to have to take my eyes here and put it back into my machines here. So, because Tesla is off to the races here this morning. I think it's 408 now coming up there now on Tesla. So if you were, wow. Okay, let's go. Oh my goodness, I got to take some profit here, ladies and gentlemen. 407 here. That Tesla just a little bit too rich now for my blood here, so I got to sell some here. For those of you who were paying attention, I did am heavy Tesla, and I need to take some profit here. So give me 1 second as I take this run here. Yeah, and I'm only taking half off. So those of you who are playing at home with me. I am took half off. So I expect, oh, look at that, 408. Yep, I got out 408.15 there, it looks like. Wow. Okay. I'm pretty excited about that one. That was a nice run there. All right. Okay. All right. Let's get right to it. What else we want to look at? Anybody else out there that's excited about this? But looking at Tesla, look at that, 406.51. Yep. So those of you who are paying attention and were playing at home, I thought that was the high there, that nice little run there. It's very, very nice. Keeping my eye still. Bitcoin, 86,300 now, a little bit of a pop there to the upside. I am liking that too as well. Wow, that was a nice run in Tesla for the morning run here. Also seeing a little bit here in Apple. We did talk about that this morning. Apple also running here a little bit, 275 now. Scott Bauer and I were just talking about that too. Yeah, the Kremlin says no Russia-U.S. talks are scheduled to discuss the plan. So we're now hearing reports now that no plan, no discussion for that plan just yet. So hopefully, yeah. Tesla still looks like there's still time to push a wee bit here for a 408. There's some profit taking. Great, good. Keep on going. I love that. I was not getting completely out of it, as everybody knows here. Meta now up as well, pushing up a little bit here, up 1%. Big day here in the Nasdaq, down 130 points, but the Nasdaq up 308 points here. Europe up 0.18%. Yeah, we are still pushing here. The VIX dropping here quite nicely as the risk is back on here. There's Fly again, now to the upside as early this morning. So I had a feeling that was probably going to happen. They're probably going to get back up above 17 and go up to the upside again. I know there is an open class action litigation, but I'm not too concerned about that. Class action, they don't usually do very well. All right, Netflix also look at Netflix here, also pushing up as it had a 10-for-1 stock split not too long ago. I liked it under 1,000. I always do. The 10-for-1 would put it at $100 a share. Now we're back to 105 here almost. So yeah. Tesla now 409 as it is continuing to make. It is now the highs of the day here. 409.12, 409.27 now, 409.60 now. The highs of the day. 409.73 as we are continuing pushing. Congratulations if you were listening to me on Friday about Tesla. I thought that was the play, and we crushed it here again. 86,400 now. Ripple having a good morning here as it's coming back as well. 250 was where a lot of the sellers were. The back now we're at 210 here. We've done pretty well here. For those of you paying attention and playing at home with us, you're crushing it with us today. Tesla back to 408.83 as it could be right here where we're starting to see a little bit of selling. I don't know yet. Well, no, I disagree. 409.57. Disagree with my own self. There you go. Keep going a little higher there. I am still, as everybody here knows, I am still long Tesla. But I took some off as I was a little heavy there. I doubled down there on Friday. So I felt like this was way overcooked to the sell side, and now we're pushing back up. 410, you heard this morning. Scott Bauer said could run back to the 410 handle there. There it is, 410, right on at 410. Having Scott Bauer, having that knowledge coming on. 411 now with Tesla coming up. Woo! Here we go. Wow. This is really, really good stuff. Man, oh man, oh man. I'm going to have to take a little bit more off here as that now is getting closer now. I can't continue to I've got to take some profit here, folks. That's just a good run here for me. And I'm now down to my my numbers where I wanted to be in Tesla. Now have the number of shares that I totally wanted to have. So I'm there now, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. So very good if you kept playing with me there. And now my biggest holding now is Disney. I still own Tesla, so don't get me wrong. Still own Tesla. Okay, so I'm still there, but I'm now down to where I feel more comfortable about owning it and not feeling out of whack here. So I'm good there. All right. Keep my eye clearly on Walt Disney here and some of these things. I have over the last few days been buying materials, as you know. Materials, I think, is making a great run over the last few days. And the symbol that I use, I don't know if everybody understands it, but I will make a banner on it. Big Beat, I'll just put BB because y'all know who I am. Big Beat owns VMIAX. Now, that is a Vanguard fund. And it is one of my biggest funds that I do own. And I will got to pull some off here. Go. Add the banner there. Hopefully that helps you out. This is the one that I do own for longer term. So if you're watching me out there, you should be out. Grayscale Ripple ETF today. Yeah, Carl is asking about that. 100%. I think that's great, and I think that's why we're seeing a nice little run in Ripple. There's your Tesla sell. And I had a feeling it was going to come. I just didn't know exactly when, but there's your Tesla sell here. Yeah, no, Carl, you're totally right. I think this is great. I think Grayscale's making a good move, and I do like Ripple. Brad is a good guy. I do like what he's doing, and the banking industry is moving towards it, and I do like it. Dow is struggling here, not only up about 70 points here, 68 points now. NASDAQ up 1.62%. This is what we think. Tech's got to save us, right? So, all right. U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick now speaking here, and I'm going to post what he is saying here to everybody so everybody sees it. Says that a digital framework we are comfortable with, we can work on resolve outstanding cases with the EU, such as steel and aluminum. I agree with that. Steel and aluminum, we want to make sure we protect our steel workers for sure. Very good there. All right, Tesla. What a day on Tesla. This is great stuff here. I'm really very, very happy about the Tesla move here. Keep my eye here though on. Let's go back to if I can. There we go. Fly is all over the map here. That's one that I've been watching. NVIDIA, you heard Scott talk about. He thinks it could get back to $200 before for the holidays here, around the holidays, all the way to the end of the year. And it's starting to make somewhat of a move here. Yeah. Anything else that I'm keeping my eye on is as well. Amazon is one that I have been very bullish on. You can see here that over the last, I'll pull up a daily chart. I have been very bullish on Amazon back in, as you can see here, back in October, I went very bullish on Amazon. We've had a nice little run, took some profit off. Look, going into the holidays, Amazon's going to be tight. I mean, it's going to be good, right? Could be if we do see another good, I mean, remember Black Friday's coming, so Amazon's about to have these sales. Yeah, but they've already started those sales, Big B. Yep, totally understand that. And I've been taking advantage of it. Look, the sales today are no different than the sales tomorrow. Will there be extra ones? Possibly, but don't know the answer to that question yet. Tesla's still pushing here, 409, not quite as it is starting to set up a little bit here. There you go. Here we go. And look at that. That was a nice run this morning. So those of you who are paying attention, again, very happy on that. Bitcoin slipping a little bit here again, 86.5 down to 86 now. This selling here at 86,000 and selling at 87,000 has been very strong. There are still some sellers, but I think what happened over the weekend, I've been reading quite a bit about it, that a lot of the OGs, the original gangsters who were owning Bitcoin, took some profit over the last few months. Totally I'm disgruntled about that. I'm disgruntled about the size of the selling that they did. It was way too much and way too big, and I thought it was a little bit much. And we've had a 30% pullback. It's a little hot for me when it came to that. So I think they've overdone it. And look, I've been buying Bitcoin over the last 2 weeks. You watch me do it here. So I'm still loving on Bitcoin. I think we're still in the first innings of it. We're still going to go higher. I'm not worried about Bitcoin, and I still believe in the thesis there. No, I don't believe quantum computing is going to break. Lots of things will happen before then. AMD also pushing higher here as semiconductors also. U.S.-Ukraine plan now contains 19 points, but not yet finalized. That's according to the Washington Post here. The WAPO now posting that right now. That U.S.-Ukraine plan now contains 19 Yeah, so we'll post that for everybody so they can see that. This is as the news comes in here too as well. We'll make sure everybody gets the news as we see it. And Tesla trying again here. Look at this. Tesla trying again to the upside here. Oh, wow. Good nuts. 6. Make another run maybe. 411.28 is the high there. I can put the numbers up, I think, where my numbers were, where I got out at. For those of you who are playing at home, yeah, 410.55 was where I did hit the big one there. So, yeah, started to sell quite a bit there. CoreWeave here, also another one that we looked at with the AI. Look at that AI now, and I do like CoreWeave. I spoke about that on Street.com not too long ago on Schwab. I do like CoreWeave. I do like this one, and I also like MongoDB. MongoDB, yep, up another 3%. The AI play is back on target as China's Xi Jinping now says to U.S. President Trump, China and U.S. relations maintained a positive momentum. It's called, according to the Xinhua, this morning here. So look at that. This is really good stuff coming up here. So could see some another positive move here. Apple now steady here now up 1.25% is the biggest player here in the market, and Netflix slipping now 103.87 here. So yeah, still Howard over the last few weeks has asked me about Nike. I still like Nike, but they're struggling here, and the shoes are definitely struggling here as well. Berkshire Hathaway over the last few weeks. Again, as you know, I've been very negative on Berkshire Hathaway. On Friday, I said, you know what, it looks a little bit better, but just still not quite there yet. Looks like our friend Jim Cramer now talking about Google now up 5.64% here, and up $17 here. So there you go. That's the daily chart. We're now out of my triangle, so there we go. Could lay Fibonacci on it if you want. Pull up an hour chart, lay some fib on it. Let's pull up that first. Dow's about to go negative here pretty soon here. I'll lay some Fibonacci sequence onto it for those who don't know, and I'll lay a fib retracement. There we go. So yeah, you can see where the breakout happened on the fib retracement, and you can see where the 0 is. So there it is, 288. These numbers are right on. So if you like Fibonacci, it's pretty much pointing to the answer right there for you. And we're just hit the top of the Fibonacci sequence, and this pulled back a little bit. So there you go. And yes, correct. It is now, Dow is now in the negative. Yes. Yeah. AVGO, another one here this morning. Another hot stock here this morning, trying to get back up there. Yeah, I totally can understand. Probably get back to 374 is what they're shooting for, right? Yeah. That buying opportunity right there a few days ago. Howard talked to you about that when he brought that one up to your attention. Asked me several times about Broadcom, what I thought about it. I'm still not the biggest fan of it, but there it is. And there's your Tesla, right? There's your Tesla, what we're talking about. So we still got some room, as he said, to 410. We hit that 410 spot. And I think next room here now could be 420 is what he was talking about earlier, 423 for Tesla. So there's your 423, and then of course your 420. A lot of people use that number for obvious reasons. Yeah, still seeing some more selling here in the Dow now as is picking up. Probably some profit taking. We did take our profit. Hey, look, we took profit this morning in Tesla as well, right? That 1 minute chart told you just about everything, and it's now boxing in now. So this is where, yeah, look at that sell signal there. Yeah. And that sell signal. Yeah, look at that. Bitcoin now trying again here, 85.7 again, as it just took that massive sell drop again. You can see the volume is still the sell side. The buyers are just not sitting there as even as they were. But we're not at under 80,000, and we're not under 83 or 82 again. So it is holding down here. Let's pull up the 1 hour chart as we just talked about it, right? There's your 82 the other day. But here's what I talked about the other day with you, everybody here, right? This right here was what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about, that heavy volume, right? We're not seeing that anymore. We're getting down to the volume now where the volume is low, And guess what happens when we have low volume? We go up. So, and usually up to the upside because there's no heavy pressure sell signals anymore. And we're going to get back up to that buying opportunity pretty soon here. There's some selling going on, probably some technical analysis selling, whatever. Fewer, yeah. Xi Jinping and Trump did talk about Ukraine crisis. Xi Jinping says China and U.S. should jointly safeguard victorious outcomes of World War II, right? Saying that they don't want war, and that's a good place to be. I like that answer. There's Tesla again, 408.22. That move here in the early morning is just about done. Any stocks out there you guys want to look at? Let me know. We'll be happy to happy to bring them up and look at them for you. I did like that Ripple idea, especially with grayscale going into it. Love that a lot. Actually, there's Royal Caribbean now to the green. Yeah, Tesla trying again, folks. There it is. Can it get above that handle there? And 411.15 being 411.28 now at the highs. So I'm kind of excited about that. Still long, as everybody knows. Silver also trying here a little bit. AMD, some profit taking happened in AMD. There's one of my favorites, Unity Software. I like Unity Software. I like this big run they made over the last few days. Pull up a 1 hour chart for everybody there. I did like this run. Got down to about 36 now at 40 now, but it did get to about 42, I believe. Yeah, that was a nice little run. I think that might be over though, but everywhere I turn on a game, it's always got it's always there. So it's Unity Software's logo somewhere, right? Seeing reports now that the EU says that hopes free trade deals with Philippines, Thailand, and Malaysia is completed by 2027. They're trying to create a free trade zone there, and I think that's going to be huge for them. Apple still running here a little bit. There's a 1 minute chart. There we go. Still in my numbers here. Still in the numbers. This morning I made a big post about silver, and I'll try to pull up the silver chart for you here. There we go. Look, I made a big post about silver. For those of you who want to see that post, I'm happy to pull up that post. There we go. And that way you guys can click on the actual link so you can keep up with me. But silver, I think, is still undervalued here. I think the 54 top is high, but I still think that silver will continue to push up. Now, that's my opinion on silver. I do like silver. I own physical, so that's been my my big thing. And I own silver coins. That's kind of the key. Yeah, Tesla now slipping here now, 406. Congrats for all of you who took that profit off, and that's why we do what we do, right? We make sure that we're there. We make sure that we take some profit. Look, this was not an institutional buy for me. This is not a long-term buy for me, and I thought it was over. Look, Howard will tell you anything under for me under 100 is a sell signal for me, for a buy signal to me. And we did that, right? So this is the trend that I liked. But look, it could be a buy down here, 405.60. I don't think it didn't get all the way down there, but yeah, it did. Nope, it did test. It did test that number. I do have a super trend for those of you. We do use TradingView on our charts here too as well. Yeah. Meta, another one up there now, also pushing too as well. The AI play there too as well. Look at that. Royal Caribbean is starting up again, starting to the upside again. So, yeah. Bitcoin just is struggling this morning here. Yeah, major struggle here over the day. All right, let's get to it. My boy is now in. I'm going to remove the charts and get to it. Steve Flanagan, I believe the words that you have been using over the last few weeks that I have asked you to do was quantum convergence. Are we still seeing quantum convergence?
Absolutely, Steve. It's beginning to play out piece by piece. This is a long-term play out, medium-term play out. Out of chaos will come unity. And you're beginning to see the pieces of the puzzle, the big sell-off that we've had, good reason for the sell-off. But all the pieces are beginning to come back. Risk mood is improving. The Fed talk is now beginning to shift back to a rate cut. You've had Williams on Friday, Fed Moran and Waller now all indicating a cut. Nothing's changed between this meeting and the last meeting. The inflation is still in a subdued manner, and the unemployment situation is beginning to get a lot more press. So I do think we're building for a rate cut. If you take in what the Swiss National Bank, why do I talk about them? Little tiny Switzerland. Well, they're one of the largest holders of U.S. equities by far, and their monetary policy, according to him, is still expansionary, supporting inflation, because Switzerland sees the world, I think, through a different light. And they still see the grips of deflation holding very tightly to the world. Their inflation rate close to zero. And what he said, and I think this is the word that I would leave the viewers with, uncertainty is poison for the economy. Well, tap on the Fed door. We need more certainty.
Yeah, clarity is the issue. And, Steve, I think one of the things that you and I have been pretty hard on the Fed in the last few months, I should say, probably even longer than that at this point. Good news is sometimes good news, and sometimes good news is bad news. Steve, we just had Scott Bauer saying, be careful what you wish for, because if you ask for a Fed cut, it could be for the reasons that we don't normally like, right? Because the world's not that good, right?
I heard Scott say that, and he is 100% correct on that analysis. The only slight that I would say is that the Fed is still in a restrictive policy stance. So if we take Powell at his word that 0.6% of the inflation rate is due to the tariff build, then we are much closer to the 2% target. Therefore, rates are very restrictive, not moderately, quite restrictive. And in that vein, the Fed cuts. But I do agree that, Scott, be careful what you wish for, because if you begin to see, if you were to see a 0.5% cut, then, of course, Scott would come to fruition. Everybody be worried. What the heck do they see that we're not? But what we all are seeing is a very tough economy. Steve, you've been talking K recovery for months now. And yet I think there's a disconnect between the majority of the American people and where people say the economy is. And that roots itself in this unemployment number. The Fed is focused on a 1960s style unemployment number, where the higher it goes.
Okay, yeah. Explain this one, because I don't understand this one, Steve.
Okay, so we're going to watch the unemployment number. Right now we're at 4.3, 4.4%, and everybody's saying, how can I cut rates? If the employment situation is so good. The problem is that the employment number that they so hold to, right? Look at all the Fed comments. The labor market is tight. The labor market is tight. We don't want to cause a problem. There is no wage inflation in our inflation numbers. So if the Fed keeps concentrating on an outdated number that does not measure, here it is, the disconnect. does not measure the people that are working full-time and earning $25,000 or less in the poverty level, or those wanting to work full-time and are only because the businesses try to stay under the 29-hour part-time so they don't have to pay benefits. Those people, if we include that massive segment, our inflation rate, our unemployment rate is much higher. Some people would say it's in excess of 20%. Yet our Fed keeps talking about the labor market and the unemployment numbers. So they're focused on a number that no longer measures the real employment picture in the United States. And that's the 1960s style focus. And that's what I highlight there.
Wow. Okay. That makes, okay. I understand that. All right. So let's get to this, Steve. I just asked Scott Bauer, and I know my thought process. I think I told it right here. Shortened week. Thanksgiving is Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Coming.
Thanksgiving.
Shortened week means what? Past. And shortened week means what now?
Well, from an institutional trader point of view, it means that your risk is going to be, very quantitatively defined. You're not running out there and putting on a lot of risk. Why? Simple. The liquidity in the marketplace begins to pull back. Now, from a global foreign exchange, where a daily turnover is over $9 trillion, not necessarily the case, because you do have Europe and the rest of the world in all 5 days of the week. But risk taking begins at this time of year to be reined in. And I'm going to explain it in a simple manner, because this is bonus period. You don't get paid to take risk and lose money at the end of the year. In fact, there could be nothing worse that could happen. If you lose money in December, you are not going to be well received in a trading room. Therefore, as risk pulls back, the risk on a shortened week is that once something gets put in motion, it just begins to spiral and move. So far, we're seeing a risk mood improving for this week in the absence of the news, because a lot of U.S. statistics come out this. If inflation is subdued, we will get a rate cut in December. That will grow, and you could see risk begin to, suddenly be put on, and that would be a higher market.
Higher market. Okay, so Thursday, no trading. Friday, trading. How do you position yourself for this Friday?
Well, one thing for sure is you've got to protect your downside, especially looking in the rearview mirror as to what just happened. So if we get a risk-on growing environment, then this is an opportunity to probably put some volatility indexes on. Also, maybe, have a, like using the Qs and SQQ just to kind of put a little bit of hedge on, because the opportunity to trade once you hit Wednesday close, no trading on Thursday, partial trading on Friday, and then you've got 2 days off on the weekend. So you've got to express yourself in this environment to be a little bit risk adverse.
Adverse, okay.
Yep. And that's what I think we're beginning to see. I watched the dollar index. The dollar index is still quite strong, roughly 112. Last week's close, 120. Our high was 140. So we have a lot of tops in the dollar index between May and where we are today. I'm a little of the opinion we may pause in the dollar index. That could be another very good ingredient in this risk-on environment that I'm looking to see this week.
All right, I'm going to add the chart here, the Dixie, now to the. We're now at 100.19. See where we're going.
Well, I think if we do get above 140, my target, as you know, has been 102, 103 in the dollar index. I think what's going to happen this week, So as we focus on the dollar index and the US, to the viewers, back up a bit, take your eyes and look at Europe. They've had some pretty nasty numbers coming out. You've got the GDP in Germany on Tuesday. And if that comes in around the zero or a negative print, that's not going to be very good for Germany. What we also have is on Wednesday in the UK, the long-awaited budget is going to be presented. They have roughly a 20 to $30 billion shortfall. How do you make up a government budget shortfall? You can cut government spending. Oh, that's not going to go over well. Or you can raise taxes. Oh, that's not going to go over well. So the UK is really between a rock and a hard place right now. And I'm watching sterling presently around the 130.90 level. And this is one that could really rip on the downside. Our recent lows have been 130.10. And I'm thinking that we could be looking at a break of 130 and you know, substantially lower into the 128 levels in the short term. So that's something I'm keeping in mind. Therefore, dollar index will push up naturally as all of its component parts begin to fall apart, namely the euro, which is over 50% of the value of the dollar index, and the sterling, which also is a fairly large weighting. So
yeah, I mean, your euro dollar now 115 right now. As the euro is really, you know, the dollar right now, it's pretty strong, right? Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, Stephen, especially in the backdrop, looking in the rearview mirror of last week, everybody was, you know, the U.S. markets, the equity markets were like crazy. And the whole AI trade is over idea. I couldn't think of a more, you know, idiotic, you know, AI trade is over, because it's not. And I'm going to explain it by one simple thing. In my convergence, you know, idea here, the digital intelligence will be the basic infrastructure.
Real quickly, Steve, before you say that, Trump's healthcare plan now says they see a 2-year extension on ACA subsidy extension. So Trump is backing down on the ACA here.
Wow, that would be big, Steve. That would be, and of course, we would get a consensus. Wow, could you believe that we could even talk about the U.S. government and a consensus? Just another quantum convergence piece of the puzzle coming together. How much could we get done if everybody cooperates and starts to get the government?
It's what we've been screaming about, Steve. I mean, it's like, listen, Mr. President, you gotta come together. You know, the Democrats are, you know, they're not giving up, and it's compromise. I like this. I like what Trump is doing here.
A big positive, Steve, and especially if, you know, let's redo the ACA and let's get a better system in place.
I agree.
I'll give you the 2-year extension, but we're going to work on it today,
yes,
you know, and together to fix it. So, you know, my point, Steve, was, you know, using a Jensen Huang, he was talking about this with Elon Musk, and, you know, the digital intelligence will be the infrastructure that the entire world is built on.
Yes.
So how could we even think that this AI, we're just in the first inning of a 9-inning game. Yes, there are going to be sell-offs. Yes, we're going to question the extent of, you know, the bonds that are being floated. And hey, but you've got to invest money by getting the bond, getting the money in order to make this principle become a reality. So I don't see the problem here. I do look in the sell-offs. The problem is that today's world, there's been a liquidity problem, which I believe has been caused by the Fed and their quantitative tightening, which is extinguishing money in the world. And it is that point that the Fed has to wake up and realize. And I think more and more of them are. And the numbers that are leaving the Fed in the next 3 to 4 months is going to put more people in that are thinking about the liquidity the liquidity, when I talk about this is the grease that makes the gears turn, that can make this quantum convergence idea happen.
And so if you look at the future, And you know, here we go. Dollar yen right now, super high. I'm happy. Sushi and sake. You called it with their new prime minister, the new president, head of Japan. What's next in Asia?
Okay, that's a big one, Steve, because the dollar yen shot up a lot faster than I expected. I did call for a 158, 159. I also said you don't want to get near 160 because the Bank of Japan is going to come back in. You want to talk about a quasi-controlled market, the dollar yen market. And when Bank of Japan comes in, they come in large. They got the big boxing glove on, and they can catch a market. They watch the markets carefully. You look at that dollar yen move, it's a little overextended here. The recent comments from Bank of Japan are indicating they're watching the speed of the move. So I do think that dollar yen, after putting a high of 157.89, I still think we could squeak out a 158, 159 level above, but I don't want to be long or short the yen. I would prefer, to back off and look at the other currency pairs because this one gets risky when the yen weakens towards a 160 level. You've got to be prepared to go to sleep one night at 159.70 and wake up at a 155 level. That's the type of move and impact that can happen if the Bank of Japan gets serious on this. However, Japan
several times too.
Yeah, but Japan has a lot of problems right now that they've got to address. They're in this little transition period as the new prime minister, policies begin to take effect.
We're seeing Bitcoin popping here a little bit, 86.4 now as well on the back of that news.
Risk on.
Well, risk is back on, as it feels like Trump and Democrats are trying to come together here and do some work together. I like this. All right, Steve Flanagan. We'll see you right back here on Wednesday. And then, Steve, before we let you go, here you go. Do you anticipate the UK budget will weaken the euro dollar or will it strengthen it?
Well, the UK budget will have an effect on the sterling, and I do see that weakening. However, if they thread the needle, there are a lot of shorts in the marketplace. If they thread the needle on this budget release, you could see, here's what will happen. The two pairs that trade, the biggest is the euro versus the sterling, or called euro sterling cross rate. So right now, a lot of people have been buying euro, selling sterling, and that kind of keeps it like a North American trade where we look at the dollar CAD and MEX against the dollar. In Europe, you look at the sterling and the euro as the trade. So yes, you could see the euro weaken. If the UK budget threads the needle, people will be forced to buy the sterling to unwind that euro sterling cross. They will have to sell the euro. So I would see that combination trade lower. I don't know if the UK can thread the needle on this one, though. This is going to be a pretty tough one. The sentiment in the consumer market in the UK is not good right now. Negatives are, again, like the US. You walk in a dark room, throw a dart, you will hit a negative. It's very hard to find positives. Interesting that the risk on in the US that we're beginning to see could be a resurgence of positives here. So to answer that question, if they thread the needle, the euro will weaken. I hope that one covers it. If you have another question, fire it out, Carlo. I believe we're still on. So risk mood is improving. The Fed, we're reassessing the Fed market right now. A December rate cut is beginning to increase. So uncertainty that is poison for the economy is beginning to clear.
Yeah, Stephen, and I think the other question is LATAM, right, around all of this stuff. And the president and, of course, Treasury Department now has just designated Venezuela's cartel as a terrorist organization. Biggest pileup of ships in the Caribbean Sea. Are we going to war with Venezuela?
No, I think, Steve, you can remember Grenada or Grenada.
Nicaragua too, man, with Reagan. Okay, so
no, I don't think we're going to go to war there. I think what we're doing is exerting the influence to stop sending drugs to our country.
Regime change. Do we see Maduro being kicked out?
Well, that's going to be up to him. I don't think we're going to be in the market for regime change because, you don't want to give anybody another talking point against the administration. I think Maduro probably will see the light, and it's in his benefit. Steve, this was the cornerstone of a lot of the quantum convergence. Everybody begins to see the light of cooperating because what it means is that the economic growth to your country resumes and helps.
Right.
As we're seeing with China. Look at China and the U.S. now kind of going buddy, embracing arms here. It benefits everybody. And even Russia, I do believe you're going to see, here comes the curveball coming into the market as we build positives. Watch Russia and Ukraine suddenly, boom, nail it and get this thing over with. And don't forget how much of the rare earth minerals Russia has. So are they not sitting pretty and seeing the light as well?
They are. All right, Steve Flanagan, we will see you right back here on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to that because Thursday's the big Thanksgiving day and the parade, obviously. But all right, for all of you out there, thanks for watching. Numbers are good again. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning.